Let me talk about the exercise. You know, they say physical activity, move. Everybody moves. So is this a special type of movement?
Okay, now when we talk about exercise, we are active. Okay, for example, I can trek from here to wherever I want to trek to. But then when we say you must be active, such exercise must be that you must perspire. You want to sweat.
So it's intentional.
It's intentional. Okay, it's not the kind of trek that you and I will do. We are gisting along the road and we've gisted for 1 hour covering
just
about...
strolling along.
No, we are not doing that. But it must be brisk. It's either you are doing a brisk walking, and a brisk walking is in between your normal pace and jogging.
Okay, okay.
For those who can swim, they can do that. For those who can ride bicycle, they can do that. But if you must walk and derive benefit, it must be at a pace that is faster than your normal pace. And so you must perspire. The heart will also beat faster for you to know that you have actually exercised.
Okay, so in this fast walk or swimming, is the object to burn calories or to make the heart beat faster?
Okay, very good. Now, when we do that, the muscle needs glucose to actually perform that duty. So glucose goes into the system. And so it is broken down.
So it's a mop-up.
Oh, it's a mop-up. It is broken down. Now, the insulin resistance, the insulin that is not working well, by the time you exercise, the body starts to recognize insulin also.
That's what I'm looking for, doctor.
Exactly.
We need to recognize this insulin.
So the body now the body can now recognize insulin because it now works better because we've been able to exercise. And so it works well. Glucose is able to enter into the muscles. It is broken down into energy. And so those are the advantages. Apart from that, we are also able to either lose weight or maintain our weight without adding to it.
Okay, now, from the risk factors that you've mentioned, lack of activity, sedentary lifestyle, some people even say obesity. Does it mean that this is a fat person's disease?
Not really, but there is a risk that when a person is fat, which we call obesity, there is that likelihood that insulin will not work well in such a person.
Because you see, some people will say, you know, I'm slim. I've always been slim.
Yep.
I can't be diabetic.
That is not also true, because we have people who are slim that also have insulin resistance. Insulin does not work well. It's just that they may not be more in the population.
Okay.
We know that with obesity comes with problem of insulin working very well.
Okay, now, from what you said, is it possible now for a person who has not been diabetic to make sure he doesn't get diabetic by being active from the outset?
Now, all over the world, what we preach is to prevent. It is very cheap to prevent it. And what do we need to do? Adjust our lifestyle. Less calorie intake, less of these fizzy drinks, more activity, and we are able to prevent development of diabetes. In those who have family history, it can actually delay the onset of diabetes by so many years. Okay, of course, this lifestyle that we are talking about is the cornerstone of the management of those who have diabetes.
And it's adjustable.
Oh, yes. In fact, I summarize diabetes as a disease of moderation and discipline.
Okay. But now that you have upturned many people's philosophy about food, what is the right way to eat? Some would have said, even with your argument that, well, since proteins take a longer time to turn to glucose, they are better than carbohydrates because you will end up not having the glucose till after some time. Mm-hmm. So what is the right way to eat? Should people take the monosaccharides, the quick-acting sugar, or should they take the complex, which will take a long time to break down?
Okay. Now, a typical meal for anybody who have diabetes should have all the components of the food: carbohydrates, protein, fat, and fiber in terms of vegetable. Now, carbohydrate is prescribed to be between, it should make up about 50% or thereabout of that meal.
Okay.
Then we have protein in that proportion, fat in that proportion, vegetable in that proportion. So leaving protein, carbohydrate out
is not good.
It's not good.
So this is a tale of moderation,
Yes,
not of exclusion.
No, not of exclusion. Because you find out that most people who suffer this disease have been sentenced to the life of beans and unripe plantain.
That's what they do.
Now,
and we always thought that was right.
No, but unfortunately, beans is not protein.
It has a lot of carbohydrates.
Beans is made up of about 60% of carbohydrates. So people have this erroneous belief, so they tend to eat beans too much, and the glucose goes very high.
Okay.
So, and people who are restricted, they don't see why they should live, because it becomes very boring. There are no choices. So, in the management of those who have diabetes, it's advisable for them to eat what they have been eating, but in smaller proportion.
So it's simply eat your normal meal, just reduce it.
Exactly.
So what happens to the hunger pangs? Because those will come for some people.
Exactly. Now, we know that when you reduce those quantity, you are likely going to feel hungry, especially when you are on those medications also. So what do we advise? We rather want you to eat up to about 3-4 times a day of small meals than to sit and eat one large chunk at a go.
Okay.
So somebody can eat breakfast around 8 o'clock, small one. Now, we know that before 1:30 or 2 p.m., lunchtime, that person may get hungry. And so around 10:30, 11, we said they should have a mid-morning snack.
We need to go on a break. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about this, proportions. Please stay with us as we take a short break. On the other side, the rest of this interesting discussion.